What is up, guys? And we're back. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have seen, but I'm also sure a lot of you probably haven't noticed yet, or you haven't heard. Chemists have received an overhaul. There has been a major cataclysmic update to Schedule 1 that has really thrown off the community by storm. What has happened is if you walk up to a chemist, you can now see they have 4 assigned station slots. Now, you might be thinking, that's not such a big deal, but I promise you it is. This totally changes the meta. We are now going to have to reconstruct our barn guide from the ground up, incorporating this change, and it does change a lot. Now, a lot of you have been asking, am I going to revisit the bungalow? In short, probably not. Maybe in the future, but at this current state, I did revisit the bungalow in my own time not so long ago, and I had a wee look. It still seems my 2 bungalow guides that are already posted seem to still be the most efficient technique available. Why it changes for the barn is because now we have so much space and now we have an even ratio of 4 assignments. So that means we now have to incorporate mixing into our barn. I feel like the devs laughing at me. I only posted a video not so long ago pretty much debunking mixing, but here I am now having to incorporate it into my guide. So without further ado, let's get straight into the barn setup. This is going to be the most efficient technique available in setting up your barn. Now, as always, we're going to start with the shelves. You can see I have a bunch of empty shelves. Let me just fix that for you. So these are the shelves that are going to be supplying our chemistry sets, and we're going to be using the first 4 shelves. Now I have set up the shelves like this with 20 acid, 20 phosphorus, and 40 pseudo. Feel free to do so. You just want to replicate that shelf 4 times along, and then for the last 2 shelves here, I have just an oversupply of these shelves. This is what I call my overflow shelves, and you can just resupply these 4 shelves on the go with those 2 there. Of course, all the items required is going to be in the description. I'm not going to rattle them off for you. Have a peek down there, and there's going to be a total cost for you as well. So let's get straight into it. So I've got 1, 2, 3. Actually, let's start from the wall. So we've gone to the wall, and we've come out like this. We've leaving a space of 1 square out with this shelf, and we've put that there, and then we've gone hard up against it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shelves out, okay? So that's how the first orientation of your shelf is going to be, and we've just put another one there for storage. Now we're going to go against the save button over here, and we're going to put 1, 2, 3 shelves with the save button in the middle right there, and we're going to put a shelf here and a shelf here. Now you're going to want at least 8 more shelves in your inventory for later on. Now let us start by placing down the chemistry stations very similar to the first barn guide. We're going to go 8 on this side of the room. And of course you're going to want 8 lab ovens as well. So we're just going to put the lab ovens opposing the chemistry stations. I'm actually going to put these chemistry stations in line with the beam. Very sorry about that. And then you're going to have your 2 lab ovens out like such. And then in line with the beam, 2 lab ovens out like such. Great, and that is going to be your 8 chemistry sets and 8 lab ovens laid out. I'm just going to do a side profile for you guys so we can see we started with the beam, we went in the middle, started offset on the beam, went in the middle, we have 2 back-to-back in the middle, offset to the beam, like such, okay? And these are going to be your chemistry sets and lab ovens. Now if you're like me, and you like things to look a little bit better, we're just going to put these hard up against the wall. No problems there. Now the next thing on the list you're going to need is 8 mixing stations Mark 1. I know a lot of you are going to be celebrating, yes, mixing, yes, we're doing mixing, and we're going to set them up like such. We're going to start here, 1, and we're just going to leave a little space, 2, leave another little space, 3, space, 4, 5, 6. We just want to make sure there's an alleyway for our workers to walk through. We don't want to be blocking off anywhere. Just making sure everything is still readily accessible. Now you would notice I have blocked it off here, so we're just going to move that back and place it like such. Okay, so we still have clear paths to all of the mixing station and all of the chemistry sets, and we still have 2 mixing stations in our inventory. Not to worry, these are going to go over here, okay? On the other side of the beam. Now, what is next, you're asking? We're going to go adjacent to every single mixing station. And I'm just going to turn that around for you, just so the people who might... Actually, yes, we're going to turn that around. And we're just going to build out 8 shelves completely adjacent to the mixing stations like such. And then we're going to put 1 shelf against the wall here and 1 shelf against the wall, okay? And now we should have a nice little walkway up and down the side, okay? Now I'm going to say it again, this is by design. We want to have a walkway down here that is going to make your life so much easier. So if you have set things up and you do not have enough space for a walkway, go back, watch the guide, put everything where I have put it so you can get this space in between the pillar and your shelf. Now, while we're on the mixing stations, we're just going to select the destination. So we're going to walk up the mixing station, hold out our clipboard, and then we're going to press E. And we're going to press E, drag the threshold to 10, select the destination to the mixing station in front of it, and we're going to walk around the other side and do the exact same thing, threshold to 10, mixing station to the one in front of it, walk around the other side, etc., until you complete a circuit. Great, so now you should see a circuit of your mixing stations flow around like such, where the final mixing station will be here. Now this is where I'm going to be putting down a brick press. Now if you don't have a brick press unlocked, feel free to use a packaging station. I will quickly show you how to automate your packaging station right at the end of the video as well. But for the sake of this stage of the guide, we're going to be using a brick press. Now, I can feel you probably run into the comments, hey, why are we using a mixing station Mark 1 and not a Mark 2? That's because we are not going to be mixing here. Chemists will be mixing, and they will mix a lot faster on a mixing station Mark 1 compared to a Mark 2. So that is why we're using a Mark 1. Now, let's get the grunt work out of the way. Now, obviously, the employees are in the description, but we can see we've got a bit of a change of orientation. We now have 4 handlers and 6 chemists. Not to worry, we are doing the fun part. So we are going to assign our 4 lab supply shelves to corresponding labs. So we're just going to go 1, move over. So we're just going to assign the first shelf to the first station, the second shelf to the second station, and then the third shelf to the first station over here, 4th shelf to the 4th station. I find it a lot easier if you go right to left, and then we're going to go back to the first shelf, and that is going to go to the first station over here, and then we're going to go to the second handler. We're going to go to the second shelf and assign that to the second station. Now we're going to go to the third shelf and assign that to the first station right here. And then finally, the last shelf and assign that to the last station. Now, if you've done that correctly, you're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is 8 feeds from your supply shelves onto your chemistry sets. Now we're going to go to our third handler, and we're going to select the first option for routes, and we're just going to route. We're going to start all the way over here, and we're going to route this shelf to this mixing station, this shelf to this mixing station, and so forth. Now we're going to go to our last handler, and we're going to assign the last of the shelves. So we did 5 because we can do 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to go to 6 and assign that to the mixing station. We're going to go this shelf here, 7 to the mixing station, and then finally 8 to the mixing station. Now, because this handler's got a bit of an easy job, we're going to assign him a station as well, and we're going to assign him this packaging station. Now, you're going to notice we've got a few unassigned spots on the handlers. The only thing I would suggest is if you want to remove a couple of the supply shelves being supplied to the chemistry stations and even them out, you can do so between those two. But for the rest of the slots, we are going to leave them empty. Great, I think we're now going to start assigning chemists. So we're going to assign our first chemist to 4 chemistry stations. Actually, I think because of the layout that we have, we're going to do 2 chemistry stations and 2 opposing lab ovens for this setup. So once you have all of your chemists assigned to 2 stations and their 2 opposing lab ovens, we are now going to assign all of our lab ovens a destination. So what we're going to do is we're going to left click on every single lab oven in our barn. So we've got 6 lab ovens, 7 lab ovens, 8 lab ovens. We're going to press E and we're going to select the destination to our first mixing station. We're going to assign all of our lab ovens to this one mixing station. And it might seem like that is a bottleneck, and it is. But that's okay. Hopefully we're going to get 20 product into that mixing station. That's going to pump out 20 there, 20 there, 20 there. And by the time it hits the end of the mixing station, all of the lab ovens are going to be clear. Now it is time to assign our last 2 chemists to their mixing stations. We're going to start right down the end. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 for your last mixing stations. And then we're going to select this mixing station and then the threshold, or the destination, sorry, to the brick press. Now you're going to be able to totally change the recipe. So whatever recipe you want to make, this is going to be future update proof. You just put it in the corresponding shelves. Obviously this will be your first mixer, second mixer, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7th, and 8th. And you can chop and change whatever mixer you want to put in there. You can take away stations. You can't add any stations at the moment, but you can take stations away. Now, if you would like to, you could possibly find one of these routes that you wouldn't mind deleting. And what you can do is then fire one of your handlers, hire another chemist, and that way you could add more mixing steps if you so desire. I'm not going to worry about that right now. We are just going to get into putting our desired recipe into the shelves. And then finally, we're going to put a large shelf down here. Now I have loaded all of the mixing stations up with recipe. I'm going to show you the recipe. Banana, Coke, Paracetamol, gasoline, Coke, batteries, horse, and then mega beans. So that is the recipe. That's going to produce us a $340 product, which we are then going to turn into bricks and stack into that shelf there. Now, if you want an additional packing station because you are still doing deals yourself, this is what you can do. You can throw a packing station down there and you can actually get one of your bricks and you can put it into the packaging station and you can click this little arrow here and that's going to unpackage. So you're going to put your brick in the output, you're going to click unpack and it's going to give you your 20 units back. And then what you can do is you can click the arrow around again, take it, the 20 units, put it back into your product, put it back into your little bags or jars, and then pack it again that way. So that's why we have an extra packing station. Now, if you would like to use a packing station instead of a brick press, I'm going to quickly show you how to do that. All that you're going to want to do is put down a packing station Mark 1 and an adjacent shelf. You're going to assign the handler with 3 mixing stations to the packing station, and you're going to add a new destination from this shelf onto your packing station. Select the destination for your packing station to this shelf right here, and you're going to put whatever you want to pack into, whether it's jars or bags there. Very easy setup to do, but we are going to be using a brick press. And do not forget to reassign your last mixing station to your packing station or your brick press. Now I'm going to assign all of my employees beds, and we're going to turn this factory on. Now, a pro tip, if you don't want your production to be staggered, here's what you're going to do. You're going to want to fill up all of the chemistry sets yourself to start with. Sorry, there is something else you're going to want to do. You're going to want to left click all of your chemistry sets. You're going to press E to manage A. You're going to select the recipe to liquid. And now you're not going to touch this destination. You're going to cancel out and you're going to select your recipe sets and assign them their destinations to the opposing lab ovens. So now you have all of your chemistry sets assigned to the opposing lab ovens and you have your recipe set. Now it is time to pay your employees. And just like that, we're going to go to sleep and we're going to wake up to a factory coming alive. Everyone's going to start rushing in. Your handlers are going to start taking the product off the mixing supply shelves, putting them into the mixing stations. Your chemistry sets are going to start to turn on one by one. Now, your job on this fully automated mixing and lab production is going to be to maintain these 4 shelves, and of course we've left a nice little row for you if you want to maintain your mixer. Now here is a suggestion. What I would do is I would build 8 shelves out from the wall. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 like such. I would move your packing station just over a little bit, and what I would do is I would feed as much mixer into these shelves as possible, and I would try to do it in some sort of organized way. I have set them up like this, where we have gone in the order of our recipe just along and fully stocked the supply shelves. That's just going to make maintaining your mixing products just a lot easier. Now there is a gas smart. Let me show you a quick tip just down the road, and I'm going to show you something you might not know. If you drive to the gas smart and park in this yellow checkered section here in your van, and you park in it and you walk inside, and let's say we want 160 bananas, we want 160 paracetamol, and we want 160 Cokes. Here's what you can do is you can purchase and load into the van. And if we go to the van, we can see it has put it into the trunk for us. And then with the final 80, you can just drag that into your empty inventory and drive back to the barn. That's going to allow you to restock 3 of your mixing supply shelves at one time. This is going to be a lot faster than ordering the delivery or any other method. This will take you 3 trips to fully restock your supplies. Just in time for our chemistry sets to turn off. Now we have all of our lab ovens turned on, ready for the final step. And while I have you here, let me just go through a couple of major updates that has happened in the last patch. Not only now do chemistry workers have 4 assignable slots, there has been some changes. You can no longer lure the workers in the warehouse outside of the warehouse, and you also cannot assign your workers to beds in different locations. Now I know that's going to rustle some feathers and a lot of builds are going to be disrupted because you're going to have to put beds in there now. So that is going to render a lot of people's builds inefficient. But here we are trying to make the best of the situation. Let me know what you guys think. Is there anything else you want to see patched? Is there any more content you want to see thrown into the game? I really want to know what you guys want to see. Personally, I would love to see more properties, more things you can spend your money on. More regions, perhaps using that motorway going to like a downtown region or something like that. I want to see more influence from the cartels, and I want a little bit more resistance. I think the developers done an amazing job with this game. It really is a hidden gem. Like, you know, for what it is, there is so much complexity to it. It is such a fun game. And, you know, I really see a long lifespan for this. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to sleep and we're going to cycle these lab ovens and we're going to get these mixers mixing. Now our chemists are walking in. I hope you're excited for the final part. It's going to be cool to watch all of the mixers go down and the product flow through the system, producing a very high quality, high price end result that we're going to turn into a brick and then stack up on the shelf. Now here's a quick tip. You want to get one basic standard product and just discover all of the recipes yourself. So you want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and back to 8 and just make sure that you have the product discovered before you start this. So here we have our first product coming out. She is going to take it, hopefully put down the mixing station. No, she isn't. She's going to put it straight back into the next one. She's going to walk back, turn it on. Have they patched it? I don't know. It seemed a little bit faster than Mark 2's. It definitely wasn't any slower. So Mark 1's are going to be a good cost-effective choice for you. It definitely is a lot faster. And there we go. We have the second stage of our mixing in action. And we have our handler restocking the mixing supply shelves. We have more product going in. I believe this... Ooh, I'm sorry, I'm in the way. I believe this is going to be now 20 product in there ready. We got 23 seconds left. Great. We now have 2 stages complete. All I'm going to say is thank goodness this is their job and not mine. Great. She's going to turn the first stage back on with 20 units in there. That's going to be our first brick starting on the cycle. We've got everything burning. She's going to walk around, place her onto the third station. Not sure where she's going now. I think she's going to turn this station on before she turns the next one on. That's totally fine with us. We have now made it to the third stage in the mixing process. I'm hearing a lot of dings. We're getting a lot of lab ovens, I think, just about to cycle through. We have product waiting. So essentially now we just have to wait for all of this product to cycle through all of the mixing stations. And then as it moves along, each mixing is going to turn back on. We're going to get 20 more units fed through. Things are going to get a lot faster once the final chemist springs into action to operate the last 4 mixing stations. There you have it. We hit the 5th stage of the mixing process. The chemist is going to walk through the door and then complete the rest of the cycle. If we go to the first shelf, we can see exactly how many units has gone through the mixing stage. We've got 20, 40, 60, 70 units in the mixing process right now. That is 3.5 bricks, and we haven't even reached the end yet. And we still have product on the lab oven shelves ready to go in. Talk about a high quality production. Now, I believe we are going to get a product that is going to be able to supply your dealers, all of your dealers, enough product with a $300 per unit for a this type of production. Excuse me. So it seems like we might have encountered our first bug. So what we're going to do is we're going to save. We see a chemist frozen there, and we're going to quit. Here we go. The chemist has unfrozen himself and he has started working again. You're going to get a few of these bugs on your first cycle through. Don't worry. The more your factory cycles, the more it will smooth out. There's just a lot for the game to process right now. It is a very busy factory. You can see everyone walking around like crazy. Here we have it. The 7th stage of the mixing process finally being turned on, and we have full mixing stations all behind it in queue. Here it goes. The final stage is about to go down. Isn't it a beautiful, satisfying sight knowing we have all of these mixing stations with 20 product in each cycling through? We have another 20 about to go down. Here it goes. The 20 right behind it is catching up. The final stage is coming out of the mixer, going onto the press. Now we just need to wait for the next one to come through, and then it's going to go brick, 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 and brick. There it goes. We have 20, 40, 60, 80, 110 units in the mixers at the moment. Lab ovens are now cycling. This is going to be an endless cycle. These mixers are going to be working around the clock. You're going to be very busy resupplying your shelves, making sure the product flows through nicely. I believe the final stage is about complete. And there it goes, the moment we have all been waiting for. That is a brick and a half ready to be completed. We have our handler now walking in to press the brick. Here it goes. There it is. The first brick of the cycle completed. There you go. That is the product that we finished with. Let us find it. Sells for 340. I would list that at 355. That is a $7,100 brick. And with the next product just behind it, 15 seconds behind it, here it goes. Second $7,100 has entered the brick press. I believe that was only a unit of 10. That makes sense because we did have an odd number there. That is fine. Gives us a bit of time to restock our mixers. And what I'm going to do is for this video, I'm going to let all of our chemistry sets down here, we're going to let these run to 0. So we just resupplied all of our mixing shelves, and that only took me like 3 minutes, maybe not even that. And you could throw out another order. We've got 2 bays here. You could throw another order for 320 of each mixer. So you go 320. Let's just do it. So we're going to order 320 bananas for the first order, and then the second, we're going to go 320 Coke. And because we're going to go through the first 2 very fast and then slowly catch up, that's going to give us a good offset. But now we're going to turbocharge the production by sleeping. So that was 1 day and we managed to get 1 brick. And that's because we had to cycle the whole production. So we had to pretty much fill all of our shelves. But as you can see today, production is going to go crazy because we're just going to be feeding now, instead of waiting 8 different cycles, which is equivalent to 10 game hours, maybe even 12, it's just going to go now 1 cycle, 1 cycle, 1 cycle, 1 cycle, and production is going to go a lot faster. Here it goes, product in the brick press. The man is coming. That is another $7,100 onto the storage rack. Now I did notice a little bit of efficiency. You'll notice that I moved the shelves over to the right and selected the walkway down the middle. This means the chemists now don't have to walk around the entire shelf to get to the next mixing station. They can quickly go from here into here into here without having to do a bit of an extra walk. I think we're going to save a bit of time with that. And here comes our first delivery of bananas. I think we ordered a little bit more than we needed. You know what they say, better to have and not want than to want and not have. Great, so we have a massive supply here. I'm just going to destroy these bananas. I'm just hearing, this is a ding factory. We've got more product flowing in. I believe we've got more product going down there. Look, this is going to be guide over. This is your automatic brick factory for the highest quality product that you can produce. I'm just going to let it run for a little bit, but this will be the end. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of the support you guys leave in the videos. It doesn't go unnoticed. Of course, it would really help me out if you could like, comment, and subscribe. That would be super great. Now, if you want to see an automatic Coca processing plant factory, let me know, and we can set up a Coca processing plant onto the docks and then funnel it into a completely automated mixing station in the barn. If that's something you want to see, let me know and we will make that. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and of course, as always, I will see you in the next one.